Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today I'll be going through the new ninja hero class Heinrich, which was released on the China beta server. How good is this auto-attack dual wielding class? I'll analyze his skills, ruins, and weapons to give you an idea of his potential. Stay tuned for all the details. First, let me go through his skills, starting with the hero core skill. It's called White Star. Heinrich cannot perform normal attacks. When attacking the enemy, he will use White Star Wind, White Star Flower, White Star Snow, and White Star Moon skills in order, according to the attack speed. Every time Heinrich is equipped with a long sword or a short sword, his skills have a 33% chance of a critical strike, which will cause his own critical strike damage and ignore physical defense. The interesting thing is the auto attack splashes on the target by default, which makes it great versus mobs or players. The weapon Heinrich can use include his own long sword and short sword, the auto attack ninja's sword, holy dagger, and furious soldier. His first weapon is the imperial sword, which is the long sword. It gives strength plus 8, vitality plus 8, hit plus 20, attack plus 3%, and for each refining levels you get some bonuses. For his tier 5 effect, it gives snapshot skill the duration plus 2 seconds and it can be stacked. Here are the material requirements to make the base weapon. Next is Imperial Blade, which is the short sword. It gives strength plus 8, dexterity plus 6, and agi plus 6. It gives critical damage plus 5%, and for each refine it gives some bonuses. For its tier 5 effect, after using Wind Whisperer skill, you can get 5 layers of potential and it can be stacked. Here are the materials to make this base weapon. Both weapons are pretty good, and there is potential to use one of each if you can dual wield. For the level 4 core hero skill, each layer of potential increases its skill critical strike probability by 3% and critical damage by 10%. For potential, some skills use potential and you can see the turquoise bar below the character. After you use it up, you can charge it up by attacking or using certain skills. When you have the level 7 core hero skill, Heinrich can hold a weapon in the offhand position and all skills enjoy the damage bonus of general attack. Being able to dual wield a weapon is probably the most creative and unique part of this class. You can select the offhand slot and then choose a weapon. You can also equip cards so you can have up to 4 weapon cards. For me, I decided to mess around with the Cobalt Leader card so I can get some lifesteal, and the rest are damage dealing cards. Now, if you need BCC to get the ruins so you can dual wield as Heinrich, then try Smile.1. Smile.1 allows you to get discounted BCC and premiums for Ragnarok Mobile. They've been around for more than 8 years and have lots of global business partners for other games too. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks to Smile.1 for sponsoring this video. Next are his other skills. First is Fire Strike, an active skill. Heinrich consumes his remaining life to deal a fatal blow to the enemy, causing the physical damage equal to physical attack times remaining life divided by 50,000 plus 2,500%. Each layer of potential increases the damage by 10% and consuming all stored potential. After using it, your own life is reduced to 1 point. If this skill kills the target, it will restore the remaining life of the target before death. The cooldown is fixed and cannot be reduced. You also have the Desperate Strike Star Ruin, which will give Fire Strike when used against the enemy will lose 10 to 30% maximum life after 1 second. This is the Big Burst skill, capable of destroying this dummy. I think giving an auto attack a burst skill is great and much needed to help with MVP hunting. A high first line on the Ruin will also give a big damage boost. Next is Eternal Night, a passive skill. When using Fire Strike, if the target of killing is a player, it will increase the upper limit of Heinrich's life, remaining life before the target's death time 100%, which lasts for 30 seconds and can be stacked. Also, if Fire Strike is used on monsters, Heinrich will be immune to physical and magic damage for 3 seconds. Fire Strike's 1 HP aftermath is annoying. If you don't kill the player, then you better have some anti-death support. Against monsters and bosses, the good thing is you don't have to kill it to get the effect. Here you can see the status showing immunity in the status bar when I kill the mob. When I hit the Devil Squid without killing it, I get the immunity so I can eat a potion after. This comes in handy to stop you from dying after using this Fire Strike skill. Next is Snapshot, an active skill. Through a short chanting, your own movement speed will reduce by 30%, gain Endure, and the final damage received will be reduced by 90%. Every time you receive 3 attacks, add a layer of potential to yourself. The effect lasts for 6 seconds, the cooldown cannot be reduced, and the effect cannot be dispelled. You also have the Floating Light Star Ruin, which will give Snapshot a 10 to 100% probability to counterattack the enemy, causing them to receive damage from White Star Snow once. It seems like many classes are getting the built-in Endure effect these days. It's almost like the devs are trying to make the Edgar Star card less meaningful. The counterattack rune is also interesting since it could be very annoying to interrupt your enemy with a counterattack. This skill gives great damage reduction against hard-hitting skills, so it is a great survivability skill. Next is Starlight. It is a passive skill and increases the skill multiplier of White Star Wind, White Star Flower, White Star Snow, and White Star Moon by 200%, and increases the damage of these skills by 1% for every 8 points of Vit. The more Vit you have, the more damage you'll do. This is a nice damage scaling factor, which helps the character scale late game. Next is the skill Wind Whisper, which is an active skill. You flip backwards 5 meters and make yourself immune to ground magic effects and long-range physical damage for 3 seconds. You also have the Breeze Whisper, which will reduce the cooldown up to -1% to -30%. This is a very elegant way to dodge damage. Here I use it against the golem and it looks like an anime ninja doing a tactical retreat. Next is the skill Mirror, which is an active skill. Applying a bright mirror on the enemy, all teammates can identify the armor attribute of the enemy in PvP and GvG and reduce the enemy's critical damage reduction and all elemental reductions by 30%. The effect lasts for 30 seconds. This is a really interesting PvP skill and it also works in instances. For example, if you use it on the golem, you can see that it is fire. This is really useful for PvP to counter a strong opponent. I'd say this is a fantastic PvP skill since it gives you vital information. Next is Month by Month, a passive skill. When the enemy is more than 5 meters away from Heinrich, his damage to Heinrich is reduced by 80%. When there are no enemies within 5 meters of Heinrich, he will recover 20% max life every 3 seconds. This is a nice passive skill if your opponent stays away, but if you're in the front lines, I'm not sure how often you can keep away since you're melee. Next is Cast Blade, a passive skill. Every time Heinrich equips a short sword, he will increase his agility by 15 points and his movement speed by 15%. Every time he equips a long sword, he will increase his strength by 15 points and his attack distance and cast distance by 1 meter. Getting 15 points of agility or strength is a big boost. Also, the extra move speed and range is nice too. This works really well if you have the level 7 core hero skill, so you can potentially use both types of swords at once. Next is Breaking Dawn. It is an active skill. Use it on an enemy to disable all reflection, block, dodge effects, and immunity from death for 10 seconds. If the target is killed by Fire Strike, allies within a range of 4 meters will inflict once before the target dies remaining life times 50% explosion damage. When the effect is dispelled, the cooldown of the skill will be refreshed. You also have the rune Easter Dawning, which gives Breaking Dawn duration 0.5 to 5 seconds longer. This is a great way to kill enemies through their survivability skills, and particularly going through anti-death. This is really a good skill for PvP. Rune also gives you some extra critical damage and neutral attacks so you can use it for PvE. Next is the skill Unyielding. It is an active skill. Inspire your own noble blood, reduce the life loss you receive by 30% and increase the damage you cause by 50% when Heinrich's life is above 60 seconds and lasts for 30 seconds. The rune of Pure Blood will give you even more damage since Unyielding will give you 1 to 30% more critical damage and neutral attack for yourself. Next is Moonlight Dance, an active skill. It causes physical damage of physical attack times 1500% to enemies within 8 meters around him. Each layer of potential increases the damage by 10%, and you consume all potential and recovers 10% of his maximum HP for each layer consumed. It also applies mirror to hit all enemies. The rune Moonlight Blossom Star also gives it so that the snapshot state, the damage of Moonlight Dance is increased by 1 to 50%. This is a flashy high damage attack that you can spam. You also get HP recovery, which is nice, and the rune gives you more damage while in snapshot. Again, a really nice burst skill for auto attackers so you can deal more damage or MVP hunt. Overall, Heinrich has potential for an auto attacker and a lot of creativity because of dual wielding. Stay tuned for a future video where I attempt to clear legend instances with this class. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's the video that I'd recommend. If you want more sneak peeks, check out this playlist over here.